Hi everybody! Today we'll be doing a project with the Lilytiny, which is this little board that provides some logic to our circuit which allows us to do effects with LEDs. We'll be making this octopus to illustrate design concepts and how to work with the wearables. First, I'd like to do a quick introduction of the Lilypad-Tiny. This is a controller board that has functionality built into it, so you can get going with LED projects really quickly without having to take out your computer and do any programming. There are two boards that sort of look like this. There's one that's the Tiny and the other one is the Twinkle. The Tiny does a range of different functionality or sequences of turning the light off and on. Each of these numbered holes provide a different functionality. 0 will do a breathing fade, so like a breathing pace or kind of effect on the sequin. 1 does a heartbeat pattern, 2 does just a blink off and on, and 3 does a random fade. And the nice thing about it is it's super small, so it doesn't take a lot of space on your design, and it's very easy to use. The other interesting points are the positive and negative terminals, which need to be connected to the battery. I've prepared this design for us. It's the coin cell battery holder up here with the Lilypad between the eyes and the eyes on the left and right, and we're going to cover those up with these felt blobs, so the light is going to shine through when you turn on the switch. So a fun part of making a design like this is trying to figure out how to incorporate the circuit into the design of the project and the sewing. Because I'd like to have a direct connection, and this is a positive connection between the board and the LED sequin, I'm just going to put it in here, and I could have used any of the other connectors to get a different sequence of turning the lights off and on, but just for the sake of neatness, I'm just going to put it in like that. And that means I need to use this hole for the negative. And I thought it would look nice if I did a thin track around here and I connected it to this negative, so it sort of goes in a nice open flow. Work there. The main thing is that it should not touch this side. And while we're at it, I'm just going to put in the positive marking here, and that's basically it. This is just showing how I mark out the guidelines for stitching onto the octopus, just so that I kind of know where I'm going, because when you're stitching kind of blindly forward, sometimes you just don't end up exactly where you'd expect. So now you can see the sewing in of the negative terminal of the battery, and I'd like to do about 4 or 5 stitches around through the hole, and then sew it 3 or 4 times around the thread to tighten the connection. Here we see making our way down to the LED sequin location, and you have to skirt around the sequin and end up underneath it to go through the hole for the connector. So again, the same technique, sewing it in with 3 or 4, whatever you can fit. Sometimes the needle and the thread kind of really get stuck and you've got to backtrack or you have to make do with 3 and just hope hope you can sew it back in just to make the connection really secure. What is also interesting is to see the sewing in of the tails to prevent the tails from short-circuiting. And this is showing how to test after every connection, testing that the circuit works. And you can't always do this with a complicated circuit that easily, but it will save some time later on once you've stitched everything and you realize it's not working, I don't know what happened. So that would, in the long run, it speeds up the process and also gives you a feeling of accomplishment when you see something working. Now we're doing the positive terminal to the Lilypad-Tiny. And because each of these components will, like the round ones, like the coin cell battery holder and the Lilypad-Tiny, they will have 3 or more connectors sewn onto the object, onto the octopus. So that should keep it quite secure. Then I don't think it's needed to sew in the last bit, especially because this project will just probably be hanging on my wall or something. In this shot, I'd like to show you that I made a mistake sewing one of the tails back in. I sewed the tail not into the connection that where it had originated from, but I sewed it into the other connection, which was the negative. It should have been the positive connection, and that caused a short circuit. And I mean, that's kind of an easy mistake to make because you're working on the other side, so it's kind of hard to see what goes where. And it's good to be mindful of that and just make sure that you're always getting a good connection. So I've had to unpick it and re-sew it in. So that was it. Thanks for watching. I'm pretty happy with the result. I find this little octopus pretty cute, and I think it's provided the goal that I wanted to achieve, which is I wanted to show how to design one of these kinds of objects, how to use the wearables components, how to use the no programming components, and how to have fun with it. So I hope I've piqued your interest and maybe you'll be open to try a project sometime. Thanks for watching and see you next time.